We are back on Thursday number 2. And we're starting the class out with 2 very special guests who are here to say a few words about our World in Conversation Global Dialogues. And just a few things that you should know. I think it's really good. One is coming to us all the way from South Atherton Street, and the other all the way from Mosul, Iraq. So go ahead and bring them on. And this is JD and Momin. And Momin is JD is a staff member at World in Conversation, works with our the global team, and Momin is a advanced facilitator who was part of the Foundation's facilitation team last semester and is now on the advanced team facilitating dialogues. So you will not see him in your dialogues, I don't think, because he's doing other facilitation. But so JD and Momin, welcome. Can you say a couple things to students about what the global dialogues are about, what the opportunity is? And
sure. So I always say that this is an opportunity because in my lifetime, I had never talked to somebody who was from another country that wasn't already in the United States. So like we said, Momin is in Mosul, Iraq right now. So just being able to talk to somebody who has had different experiences, vastly different experiences than I have, and probably many people in the United States, I think that's like what's really exciting. And that's like a big, big opportunity. At least I saw it that way, and I would see it for you all as well. Because who knows when the next time is that you'll be able to talk to somebody around the globe just about things that you might not talk to your friends about, you know? We have great discussions. I love what they have to say. They bring a different perspective to all of our conversation, and it's really, really appreciated.
So JD, can you, before we go to Momin, can you tell us what are some of the tips that you would give students when they're engaging in the global dialogues?
Yeah, so as you could probably guess, not many of I wouldn't necessarily say proficient. There, our participants from our international sites are not the greatest in English. So some things that I would say
it's not their mother tongue.
Yes, it's not their first language. So I would say, try to limit the kind of like American jargon that you use, the slang terms. Not to say that that's not good for everybody to know. I know that there's another partner we work with. He says, no, bring that to us so we can learn. But what I've noticed is that just kind of use very, I don't want to say plain English, but, some just like words that everybody knows so you can get your message across, and to kind of do what I'm doing now, slow down your speaking so that the words that you're saying are going through. We have always done these virtually. So sometimes when people talk fast or, don't speak up loud enough, we don't hear what's being said. So that's one big thing. What else?
Well, while you're thinking about that, let's go to Momin. Momin, tell us about why is it that a lot of these dialogues for my class start at 7 and 7:30 in the morning? Yeah. Can you just remind the class about that?
Oh, sorry. Can you see that again?
Yeah. So why is it that so many of the dialogues start really early in the morning, our time?
Yeah. I don't know if I get that. Like, why they start early in the morning?
Yep, exactly. Like our students don't like to wake up at 7 in the morning and jump into a dialogue. So.
Oh. Yeah. I don't know. It's like when someone wakes up in the morning and just like has a thoughtful dialogue, like, it requires a lot of thinking. I have never tried this, to be honest, because the dialogues are always like at like 3 to 4 p.m. our time. So we have had like a long day when we have these kinds of dialogues, but I don't know about like the UX students, to be honest.
Yeah. So one of the things is, and it's also, there are security issues, right? Certainly in Afghanistan, there are security issues. And when young women are joining the dialogues, that's an issue, right? It's important that you all at your end have dialogues before it gets dark. So, hey, so Momin, tell us, what do these dialogues mean for Iraqi students? Like what is the value that students in Iraq and also students in Afghanistan and Colombia and Russia and so on, what is the value, particularly Iraq and Afghanistan?
Honestly, like I'm gonna speak for Iraq. So Iraq is a pretty like closed community. So we don't have a variety of like nationalities. Like basically all you see is Iraqis. Like in my lifetime, I have never met like foreigners in person. Honestly, like I remember like 2 times meeting a journalist who is from the UK and another one from the US. So we don't get to like interact with people from different countries. So when we get into these dialogues, we get to talk to people from many different backgrounds, like the US, Afghanistan, and in the US you have international students, so you get to talk to all of these people and listen to their firsthand experiences and stories, away from the media, away from any distortion. Honestly, like you just see the reality as it is. That's honestly amazing about it, and it kind of like broadens your perspectives and makes you like appreciate what you have. Honestly.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks. So I think the key here, let me remind the class that you, by the way, Moment, I really like what you said about broadening perspectives and on both sides, right? For students in Iraq, Afghanistan, Russia, Colombia, Brazil, we're having conversations in Brazil, and also here in the United States, right? So remember that you do 6 World in Conversation dialogues, 6, and one of them is a global dialogue. Okay. And so when you see them starting at 7 or 7:30 in the morning, most of the dialogues start really early in the morning. So you don't wait around till you get a global dialogue later. Like we noticed that the dialogues, the local dialogues filled up really quickly the other day, but not the globals, because you see that 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. Yeah, that's how it's going to be. And there are security issues for our partners in other countries. And so they can't be out at night sometimes, especially women. And we always want to make sure that both men and women are in the dialogues. So once in a college career, you get up really early. Okay.
Somebody asked on the chat, oh my goodness, sorry, my Bible fell. Somebody asked in the chat if there's anything that the students need to do to prepare for any of these dialogues.
Is there anything to do to prepare?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I would say,
go ahead, Jay.
yeah, because I wanted to go off of what you were saying, Sam, about just kind of the timing of everything. First, I wanted to say, if you're gonna be getting into one of the earlier dialogues, please get a good night's sleep. Maybe wake up half hour earlier. If you're a person that needs coffee in the morning, please do that. There's not really much you need to do to prepare. Like, we don't have readings or anything like that to prepare. We just want you to be really engaged when you come and sit down. Just because, like I said earlier, it's a really great opportunity just to talk to somebody like across the world with these, perspective broadening views. So another thing I'd like to add is that please, if you're gonna sign up for the globals, make sure that you do go. Because if you don't, that means seats are being taken away from other folks in the class, and we only have a limited amount of dialogues, global dialogues per semester. So that number is set. So when we hit that mark, we don't have any more, which means, people may not receive their 10 points, and we can't just go ahead and maybe just add a couple dialogues willy-nilly like we can with our local programs. So I just wanted to add that.
And I want to add that you will if you don't do a global, your grade automatically starts at an A-, so that you cannot get an A without a global. Hey, and the first global starts, Momin, when does the first global start? Do you know?
Our globals, like Mosul globals, are going to start next Thursday, so a week from now.
Okay, so I think the other globals start, do we have some starting Monday?
No, we are not doing Monday. We start on Tuesday this coming week, and then we'll do Wednesday and Thursday. And then remember, we don't have, I guess they don't need to know. I was going to say we have the
Yep.
wellness day on the next Tuesday, so we won't have globals then.
All right, y'all. Listen, thank you, gentlemen, for coming in and gracing us with your presence. Moment, thank you for staying up, although it's not that late for you right now. The legend, Mr. Moment.
Thank you so
that
much.
guy, JD. Hey, listen, thanks, y'all.
Yep.
Hey, listen, we're going to first off just start with the top hat. So we're going to get ready on that. And we realize that the stream, y'all are 15 seconds behind or whatever. So we'll give you a little bit of extra time on the top hat, but what you need to be doing is make sure that you are in the right section. And that's easy to do. You know what your code should be because you go to your, you can go to Canvas and look on the home page, and like the third line down is the code for your top hat. And just check on it's easiest to do this on your phone, okay? So the top hat questions will go up in just a hot second, so be looking. All right. Yo, can we bring in Hanyu?
Yeah, somebody asked one other question while they turn their camera on and we get them
Go ahead.
situated. Somebody asked, do we need to submit anything after the dialogues? You'll have to submit a PPE, which is just in a post participation evaluation form. Besides that, nope. You just have to participate.
Yeah, you take attendance there. All right, man, we're ready for Hanyu. And Jeff, you can yeah, let's go. Let's rock it. Yo.
Hi,
Hanyu, how are you?
I'm good.
Hey, and are you in State College?
Right, yes.
Yeah, awesome, man. So you stayed. Hey, I have different students from China. Do you have a sense of how many are here right now and how many are back home?
I mean,
just like your friends or people you know.
I think most of them are back home. I know a couple people here.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Hey, so how do you pronounce your name?
Hanyu.
Hanyu.
Right. It's more like an O sound, not instead of
Hanyu.
U. Right.
So,
right.
And it's emphasis on the yo. It sort of goes up Hanyu.
Right. Yes.
Dude. Did I really do a nice job, or are you just saying that?
Pretty much. Yeah.
All right.
Hanyu.
Awesome.
Right. Oh.
Dude, well, awesome, man. Thanks for joining. What year are you?
I'm a junior.
Cool. What are you studying?
Accounting.
All right, man. So you can go back home and account all the money that China's making in the past year.
I don't plan to be an accountant in the future, but it's just good to know accounting.
Yeah, well, I started college as an accounting major. So, like people don't realize like the Chinese economy is zooming, man. You guys are rocking and rolling, but we stumbled along because we're busy arguing about whether the corona or whether COVID-19 is actually real. And you all like took measures and moved forward, and we're arguing about wearing masks and shit like that. And meanwhile, like China's like shooting for the moon, but whatever, that's how it is. Every country rises and falls. Hey, bro. So here's Jeff, can you put the first slide? Do you have Twitch on, by the way?
Yes.
All right. Okay, cool. Jeff, put the first slide up. And I want to show folks. So there was this professor at the USC Business School who was accused of, I think School of Business, I'm quite sure that's what it was, accused of using a racial slur, right? And he was put on leave. And as a result of that, so he was put on leave, right? And right away, and the dean of the school, so Hanyu, you see that, right? Okay, so go put the next one up, Jeff. And so the dean of the school immediately, or the school came out with this statement that it is simply unacceptable for the faculty to use words in class that can marginalize, hurt, and harm the psychological safety of our students. Okay, so right away, so the dean, so this professor, he's teaching his class. He uses a word that is, a racial slur, and immediately the school comes out and says, hey, it's just wrong to be using any language at all that marginalizes students and makes them feel uncomfortable, et cetera, right? Hanyo, have you heard about this guy, this story?
Actually, no.
All right. Okay. So here, Jeff, put the next slide up. So can you see that on Twitch yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. So listen, so the word, there are these filler words, right? All languages have filler words. And Jeff, you can just leave that up for a second. So all languages have filler words. Like in English, we have filler words. It's like we might say like, or we might say and the filler words are the ones that you just put in the middle of sentences, right? In Spanish, one that you often use is pues. It's like very, very similar kind of thing. Pues, P-U-E-S. You might just be talking like, estoy pensando de irme al mercado, pues no estoy seguro lo que voy a comprar, pues, you're talking like that. You just stick it in, or you say, right? Or we say like a lot here. In Arabic, there's one that's yani. You say yani all the time. People say yani. And there are just lots of different, in Czech, I remember in Czech Republic, people said tak. Often I would just listen to people talk because we lived in Prague for a bit, and I would hear them talking, and every like 20th word I'd hear tak, and I'm like, that's a filler word because it was really, really common. Anyway, so this word, Hanyo, hey, this is the word this guy was using, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so do Chinese people talk about this word?
Sometimes, just like you said, used as filler word.
You use it as a filler word a lot, and it means that essentially, right? It translates into that. Mm-hmm. And so the question is, so he got in trouble for saying this word, right? Has anyone ever talked about not saying this word in the United States?
I know it sounds like an N word in the US, but it's actually not. I mean, the correct pronunciation in Chinese is 那个, but most people say 那个, which sounds like, the N word.
Yeah. So this guy he's on a call teaching his class, and he's talking about filler words. He's talking about cross-cultural communication, this professor. And he's saying, listen, like I say, you say pues in Spanish, you may say yani in Arabic, but in China, you would say this. And and look, I'm not even going to say the word, y'all, right? And I'm not saying the word because even though I'm talking about it, he was talking about it, and they put him on leave for talking about it. They forced him to go on leave. In the end, they decided, okay, he didn't do anything wrong, but it was a major international brouhaha. You know what I mean? So I'm not even going to say it, but it sounds like the N word, right? So my question for you is, so you guys don't talk about that, but it sounds like the N word. Have you heard stories about people getting into trouble for saying this word?
No, not in China.
Yeah. I've heard of like certain fights that have happened because people hear it or so on. And it's kind of bizarre, right? That you have this word that you, Jeff, you can bring Hanyo back on the screen so he and I can talk a hot minute. So it just seems kind of odd that you have this word that is fundamental to the Mandarin, which in spoken written Mandarin goes back 1,500 years as we see it. That you would have to be careful of saying. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just what are your thoughts about that?
I think it's just a misunderstanding because I think most people in China don't even speak English, so they don't even think about anything that's related to race when using this phrase.
Yeah, you would never think about it, right? Like it's a non-issue. Mm-hmm. And here we're living in this world so today's class is about cancel culture and the dark side of cancel culture. And this would be a dark side of cancel culture, right? Like, here's this guy who's he speaks Mandarin fluently. He works in China. He travels all over the world. It's very similar to me. I don't speak Mandarin, but I speak Spanish. I mean, I travel around. I'm really aware of all these issues, and I say a word and then I get in trouble because I'm trying to explain something to people because somebody in my class would get offended by something that they really don't know anything about. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, this is a word in our language. Right. And like somehow we're not allowed to speak our own language. Like there's something about in Weibo, there was like this argument going around right after that. And people were essentially saying like Chinese people, Weibo is the Chinese Twitter, if you don't know, like we have a right to speak our own language without having a problem, you know? So yeah, I think it's really, yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating, dude. What else, man? What else? What did you learn about race relations in the United States before you came?
So we didn't really like pay much attention to race when I was in China, because China is like a homogeneous.
Right, the dominance of like the Han culture, Han ethnicity. Which you're Han, right?
Yeah.
That it's just so dominant, right? So you didn't pay attention to race, but when you were preparing to come to the United States, did you guys talk about U.S. race relations and like what to do and what not to do and how to think about it?
We don't really talk about it. We know how to behave.
Yeah. It's kind of like when Americans travel to other countries, right? We don't we don't do research into like the way to act and things to say and things not to say and so on, right? And like what the swear words would be. I mean, there are a few that you could use. A few that I know in Mandarin, by the way. I think I know one. Wait, can I test one out with you?
Right, sure.
All right, Kao Ni Ma.
It's not cow. It's
how is it?
But I don't want to say the word. So.
Yeah. It says something, but you know what it means. But you understood me, right?
Right.
Yeah. I gotta learn swear words in a lot of languages because you never know when you're gonna use one. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right, man. Hey, listen. So, I want to just do a final piece here on this. So, here's this guy that gets in trouble for saying just a basic Chinese word. Do you have any like just thoughts about that as someone from China? Any final thoughts? Anywhere your mind goes?
I mean, if the guy who got into trouble speaks like fluent Chinese, then I think that's just a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
I mean, when he said the word, he probably didn't even think about things related to race.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the thing, right? I think a lot of times it's smaller minds. It's people who aren't thinking globally. People sometimes think in a very narrow way, just in our own tiny little world. And we don't step outside of our tiny little worlds to really see that the world is much larger. And what might be a sound or an utterance in one language means absolutely nothing somewhere else. Or the kinds of things that I say on a regular basis, or I might do, that would be really offensive if I did them in another country. But I don't think about that. And so I move on and I live my life. And I think that sometimes all cultures, sometimes we get a little small and then we have these misunderstandings. But a lot of times the misunderstandings come from our own ignorance. Yeah. Hey, so let me ask you one final question. What do you learn about other cultures in China other than Han culture?
Other cultures,
we're not going to talk about the Uyghurs, by the way. I'm not going to put you on the spot.
Right.
Well, what do you guys learn about groups that are not Han, of Han ethnicity?
We only know they are minorities. That's all we know.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah. Does the Chinese government, do you know if your government has like protective rights for minority groups? Is it something that you learn about in school growing up? Because here that's a big issue, right?
So the things we learned in school was probably like we are all equal and we should not discriminate against the minorities. That's all we learned.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah. Okay. Awesome, man. Listen, thanks for coming on. Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
Yeah, all right. I'll talk to you later. Yeah. Hey, so one of the things that I think that, so today's class is called the dark side of cancel culture. And cancel culture, we think about this idea that if you say something or do something that somebody out there decides is offensive, there can be this big movement really, really fast to just cancel this person out, right? And meaning that turn them into a persona non grata. For me, I've been at the receiving end or the attack end, being attacked by cancel culture in lots of different ways, because sometimes people will find that something I say or do is offensive, and for whatever reason, I never know. Actually, it could be something that a student says in class, but it's attributed to me or whatever the case is, and then sometimes people have attempted to cancel me out. Can you imagine that? But basically, it's just a real silencing. And once you're attacked and once you've been deemed to be sexist, homophobic, transphobic, racist, ethnocentric, just something, somehow, you just get pushed to the side. And there's this real kind of sense by people, especially the liberals, who in this social justice world, the social justice community, that the way to get justice and the way to bring about equality is just like beat up on anybody who doesn't see the world and speak about the world exactly as you do and follow the path that you think they should be following, whatever that is. And then we have all of these technologies that we can bring this army of people who think like us to attack somebody. And oftentimes we don't even know what the real story is. And most of the times we don't really know what the story is because we don't read beyond the headlines. And so with that, I remember one time there's somebody, and I won't give you any of my stories, my sad laments. But it is but we talk in this class, or in this culture that we have, as the dean wrote in that little statement about this person, and the dean wrote that to the community, wrote about the psychological safety of our students. And that's largely uniquely a US thing, because most other cultures aren't talking about psychological safety, like psychological and safety. And this world that, anytime we say anything or when we say certain things that maybe are a little bit edgy or show a photo or something like that, then we need to give people trigger warnings and so on. And some of that is obviously an advancement, right? That it's valuable, right? To really see the ways in which some things can be really harmful and hurtful, and they can bring up stuff in people that really is really difficult and really painful. And sometimes the decision about what is problematic is left in the hands of sometimes a single person. Like in my class, if a single person, we got almost 1,000 people in class right now. If a single person complains about me, a single person, it goes to my boss, and then it goes to the dean, and then it goes here, and it goes there, and it goes all over the place, just because one person decides they didn't like something that I said or did, or maybe wore, or maybe the fact that I'm holding prayer beads from the Islamic prayer beads. I don't know, any number of things. And then it's just like, whoa, that's the power of all of this. So what I want to talk about today is really the dark side. And that was a good example of the dark side. That, like, this guy is educating in this globalistic, really awesome way, and speaking a word that's teaching people a word that sounds like an important word, because it's a filler word, meaning if you're listening to Mandarin, you're going to hear that word all the time, over and over and over again. So this is a really fascinating lesson. And so teaching students about this, and then one student in the class decides, oh, I'm offended by this or I'm whatever, and then it just goes, and then it's an international uproar. So let's go to the next story. Khadija, you are ready to. You are on, man. You are on, and yo, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Hang on, I'm gonna wait for Jeff to put you up. There you are. Hey, where are you?
I'm in State College right now.
In State College?
Yes.
So, are you from State College? Where are you from?
No, I'm from South Jersey.
South Jersey.
Where?
Where in South Jersey?
Let's say around Winslow, Berlin, Sicklerville area.
Yeah. And what do you study?
Mechanical engineering.
Mechanical engineering. What year are you?
I'm a junior.
Cool. Awesome. Hey, so Jeff, you can put up, so you have Twitch on, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, cool. I want to put something up. Well, we can keep talking. Jeff's going to put something on Twitch. And so I'll see when it pops up here. But so cancel culture, could you just quickly, could you define cancel culture for us from your perspective?
So from my perspective, I also branching off of the top hat question, I feel that it's good to have a good balance between like culture and then also like being aware of like everything that's kind of like going around. So like, no, I don't think you should cancel culture per se, because culture is kind of what makes us who we are. However, I can see how I can step on a few people's toes depending on situations, as the one you just said previously.
Yeah. Like it's a culture, cancel culture. I think of it as like a culture that we've created in which we cancel people out who we disagree with or who we find offensive or problematic. So here's this headline, right? Wisconsin security guard fired for using racial slur. Okay. Mm-hmm. Security guard in Wisconsin. Does that like, what just comes to mind right away is what probably happened?
He probably said like the N-word or some kind of curse word to a Black person, or maybe Native American, depending. But yeah, that's
all right. All right. Okay. So listen, and then here's the guy. Here's a photo of him. Okay. Oh, hang on. There you are. So the guy's name is Marlon Anderson. Okay. Mm-hmm. And here's his photo in a second. So when you see that headline, right? Wisconsin security guard fired for using racial slur, mm-hmm. right? And you think, all right, he probably is this guy who dropped the N-bomb or something like that, right? Okay, so you don't see his photo yet, right? You'll see it.
Oh no,
right?
I do see his photo.
Oh, you see his photo? Okay, cool. So here he is. So now what do you think?
I know Black people can also get offended by other Black people using other racial slurs, or it could be on the other way around, where maybe he said a racial slur to a white person. So, mm-hmm. or any other nationality.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the story, right?
Okay. The
story is that he was asked to escort a student out of the building, and the student, as he didn't want to leave the building, the student committed some infraction, was being sent home. So he was escorting the student out, and this kid, as he was escorting him out, started yelling at him. This guy Marlon, the security guard. And he was dropping the N-bomb on him. Don't get away from me. And he just kept calling him the N-bomb. And the student said it over and over and over again. And finally, Marlon, the security guard, says, yo, would you stop calling me? And then he drops the N-bomb, right? Stop calling me that. He could have said, stop calling me that, but he didn't. He says, stop calling me N-bomb, okay? Mm-hmm. The principal is there, overhears him, and the principal says, hey, we have a zero tolerance policy for dropping the N-bomb. Sorry, but you're fired, right? And so here's what the principal said as a result. So Jeff, you can put this, so the principal, her name is Karen. She's a Karen. Oh my God, a kid. And she says, this is from a letter that she sent home to the parents. As you know, our expectation when it comes to racial slurs has been very clear. Regardless of context or circumstances, racial slurs are not acceptable in our schools, period. Okay? So my question to you is just what do you think about that?
I think it was kind of unfair how they didn't necessarily ask for the whole story before, I guess you can say, like penalizing the security officer. So I don't know what happened to the kid. I don't think you included that in the story. However, I think it's very important for them to like kind of hear both sides before taking someone's job away, because like you never know, someone's job is their livelihood. You don't know what they use the money for, what they needed to do, whatever the case may be. So like, yeah, I'm kind of shocked by what you said. I feel that it should have been more important, that maybe they should have heard both sides of the story and tried to come to like consensus and stuff like that. Or maybe if, say for example, that reached like the media before like they could even take any action, before like some kind of compromise. I feel like it was important to first hear his side of the story, hear what happened before.
So, but here, let me help you though. They knew his side of the story because the principal, the person who fired him, was there standing there watching the whole story. But the issue is the school decided, they had already decided we have a zero tolerance policy. Everyone was on board with that. White people, black people, brown people, probably led by liberals, right? The whole liberal world, the social justice world, and definitely accepted by black people and by women and so on. People who are minoritized, for sure. No one objected to that. And so they passed this rule, and this guy's like gets caught in a crossfire because like, oh my God, we didn't expect this, but yet they didn't stop and say, okay, hang on, we need to rethink this. They just said, nope, you're fired.
Yeah, from the way that you're talking about it, it sounds like they were using him as an example and trying to make the example. It doesn't matter if you're white or you're black, you're Asian or whatever nationality that you come from. They're saying that, okay, we have no zero policy. And it seems that they used him as an example. And everybody, we all do that a lot. And I know especially with schools and stuff like that, that they try to establish order and they end up using someone as a scapegoat. And I still stand by what I said. I feel like that was not fully fair because I mean, like what repercussions did like the student get out of this, or at least like maybe they could have maybe demoted him or something, but not necessarily fired him completely.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I know I'm with you, right? I mean, I don't, but this is the problem in this world, right? You know, we're trying to fix racial injustice in this case, right? We're not going to, you can't use racial, we're going to create equality by telling people they can't use racial slurs. And then people use racial slurs and we're like, okay, what do we do now? Will we penalize it? Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I have a really good idea. We're gonna outlaw all racial slurs. And if you utter one, even accidentally, we're gonna fire you. That's just how we're gonna deal with it because that's how we are as human beings. We're gonna just think inside of a box like this and really clear. And like, but this is the world we create. And like, is that the, like for you as a black woman, is that the world you want to live in? Like, wait, is that the kind of world you want? Like, where does that go? You know what I mean? Like we're trying, like we want people to not use racial slurs. So like, how would you fix it? Like, what do we do then?
Don't want to use racial slurs. I feel like to begin with, you said this happened in Wisconsin. I think the first order of business is to first get everybody educated. When you get yourself educated, then that means that you can start making decisions from there. If everybody on that board is not educated about the situation at hand, I don't feel like they have necessarily a say in the manner and stuff like that. So like, okay, yes, black and white people, like you meet black people that are not educated on racial things like that. You meet white people that are like that too. And I feel like, okay, in order for someone to make a decision like that, they need to be educated. So I feel like that's like the number one thing from the get-go. Educate yourself on things going on.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yep. I would agree with you, by the way, 100%. And yet the issue is that educated people who were educated, decided we're going to have a zero tolerance policy. And the zero tolerance policy is like, there's always an exception to everything, right? And like everything that's like, I don't know, when you do you have roommates?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Or like, okay, let's say you do something really shitty to your parents or whatever. You're just like a bad daughter. There's always a reason for it. You know what I mean? Like when you're being a bad daughter,
Okay.
Like, you know, like you're always like, ah, come on, man. But if your
Fair
parents were had a zero tolerance policy, you'd be like, oh my God, you don't even have a chance to put anything out there. And that's kind of where we get to. The easy answer is zero tolerance. The difficult answer is to say these things are complex and every situation is a little bit different. So we're going to have to engage at these levels and to truly educate ourselves, meaning we truly have to engage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By the way, when you're teaching class, make sure that you turn your phone off because telemarketers call.
I did that.
So like, yeah. So no, so like that, like the example of the Chinese word, right?
Mhm.
It's like, come on, man. It's like there are a lot of stories of people who go to China and they hear that word and then they pick fights with Chinese people. It's like, come on, man, like get educated, right? You can't do that. So this is a problem. So just so you know,
Mhm.
and I want to hear what you think about this and then I'll let you go. But one of the things that conservatives really struggle with liberals is things like these zero tolerance policies and then liberals imposing their views onto everyone, thinking they have the answer. And whereas conservatives aren't saying we should be true conservatives, right?
Mhm.
Aren't saying like, I should be allowed to say that word. But what they're saying is these kinds of policies don't help. They really don't help. Like this is a problem, right?
Mhm.
So anyway, I don't know. Do you have a thought on that?
I can see how zero tolerance policies can be important sometimes to, first of all, like establish what needs to be done. But yeah, there's always some kind of gray area. So
Yeah.
I feel like we
Yeah,
just
there
need to
always
take things
seems to be.
circumstantially.
Yeah, so if you go back to that first headline and I said, hey, this guy got fired for using a racist slur, most of us see headlines. Most things that we read are headlines. Very little do we read the articles. And so a lot of times with this cancel culture, there's something else behind the headline that you got to read the article to be like,
Mhm.
holy shit, that really happened? That guy got fired. The kid's fine. The kid got sent home for 3 days and then came back to school. You know what I mean? He got his job back, by the way. So yeah, like, because they saw like, this is really absurd.
Mhm.
But there are still zero, you know, there are little kids. Some 5-year-old kid draws a picture of a gun and gets suspended from school. You know what I mean? Because we have a zero tolerance gun policy. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like, you know what I mean?
Doesn't make sense. They draw what they learned from home, so it's not really their fault.
Or or they just draw whatever. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, yeah. So my take on this is just all these things are really complicated, and yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, I think that's it for me. Thank you.
All right. I always ask if there are any final thoughts because maybe you have something you want to say, and yeah. So, yeah. By the way, if you can, are you conservative, or do you consider yourself more conservative or more liberal?
I'd put myself in the middle.
In the middle? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of liberals here, and certainly most students in class identify more as liberal. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of ways in which people don't really understand what conservative arguments are and what conservatives are really complaining about. Yeah, and they're complaining about some things that liberals would do very well to think about, like this. All right. Hey, listen, thanks for coming on. And next time you read a story about somebody getting fired for saying something really problematic, you'll remember this and be like, hang on, I got to read the story. Maybe like they didn't really say anything so bad. All right, man. So listen, we can, hold on. Jeff, you can bring Mark on.
Hello.
All right, Mark, what's up, man?
So, nothing much.
Wait, Jeff, you can put Mark and I, actually, yeah, Jeff, you can't come in here. Yeah, put us side by side. But yeah, Jeff, just stay in there because you're going to need to. Hey, Mark, so where are you from?
I'm from Broomall, Pennsylvania. It's a suburb like 15 minutes out of Philly.
Yeah. Is that where you are now, or are you in
Yeah,
Chicago?
yeah. I'm coming back 13th just because I'm
Yeah.
first year.
Yeah. What year are you?
Just first year.
Oh, first year. All right. You just said that, right? I couldn't tell. What are you studying?
I'm doing finance.
Finance. Awesome. All right. All right. So listen, Jeff, can you just put the first slide up? I want to tell you a story about this woman. And all right, man. So, Mark, so here's this woman, right? Gazela. And you can see her, right?
Not yet.
All right, you will in a hot second. Yeah. Okay. All right, man. So you will in a hot second. All right, you got her?
I got to add right now.
All right. So listen, she took her daughter or her son, I think it was her daughter, to a Denver Nuggets game because the daughter was in a choir and the choir was going to sing at halftime. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so she lives, in Denver, outside of Denver. And so she's Muslim. And she's walking into the building with her daughter. And this woman who's working as one of these kind of security guards, kind of, you know what I mean? Like they get paid. She comes up there, puts her hand in her face and says, "You're not going anywhere with that on your head, right? Take that off your head." And the woman says, "Oh my God, I'm not taking, first off, she was stunned and she said, "I'm not taking this off my head." And then she explained that this is she wears it for religious reasons. She's explaining what it was. And it's essentially, hijab. And she's saying, "I don't care what it is, take that off your head or you're not going in." So the woman is obviously really upset. And she decides, because she's not going to get in and her daughter isn't going to get in to be able to sing in the parade and so on, right? And so she has to speak with a manager or somebody else. And the woman says, "No, you got to just take that off your head," and so on, right? And it spirals downward. So tell me about the woman who said, "You can't come in with that on your head." Just what do you hear in that story?
I guess she's completely in the wrong. I believe just a little bit of ignorance from her, just not understanding like other cultures and religions.
Mm-hmm.
As she's just being completely ignorant to that culture and just telling her to take something off that she believes that she has to wear for her culture.
Mm-hmm. And so what do you think? Who do you think this woman is who's telling her can't come in, man? Like, what do you imagine in your mind? You see that headline. What do you imagine?
I'm seeing a Karen right now.
A Karen?
Yeah.
Can you tell people what a Karen is if they don't know?
I guess it's a stereotype, so that's bad. But it's like just a white woman who's very conservative and very she voices her opinions a lot about her conservative views.
All right, so if you're not from the U.S., it's kind of it's a thing that's picked up like in the past year, right? Like a meme. So
yeah,
a Karen is a white woman, like middle-aged, right? Kind of, or does
I'd say like 40s, probably like prime Karen age.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's funny, man. They're laughing in my ear. That's very funny. Yeah. So someone who's just like really voices their opinion, is real strong in their opinion, and is also really ignorant. Is that part of it? Like narrow-minded?
Yeah, I would say so. They don't really take into mind other people's feelings or anything.
Yeah. So this woman. So should this woman be reprimanded? Should she be fired? Like
maybe she should go through like training just to understand the Muslim culture and understand like the jobs and everything regarding that, just so she's more understanding and does not act out like that. Yeah,
but you wouldn't say that she should be fired. She should be fired?
Maybe, depending if she has I don't know. It depends how she is working and everything.
Yeah.
It's a pretty bad offense. So maybe.
Yeah. What okay. So here's the deal, right? So the guard was 71 years old, and she was a black woman. She wasn't white. She wasn't a Karen.
Not a Karen.
Right. Right. So, tell me about that then. Okay, now go back up a little bit. Right. It's a 71-year-old black woman. We're going to assume she's a Christian. She's probably goes to a black church. We're going to make some other assumptions, right? We're going to assume she's a Christian. We're going to assume whatever, right? We can. What else? What do you think about her now? What do you say? Like now, what do you think? Let me just.
I'd say the same goes with like regards to like punishment and everything. She's still in the wrong, I believe. Maybe she's just also narrow-minded. She still could be a Karen. Karen's not just like a white person, just someone just an older person just thinks they know everything and just thinks what they believe is right. So.
Yeah, I don't know what a black Karen is, man. Can somebody like put that in the chat? Like, what are black Karens? I'm not really sure, man. Hey, what's the guy version of Karen? What's a guy?
Chad.
Chad. All right. So, and by the way, if you're not from the U.S., so the idea is the Chad is the male version of a know-it-all person who's like really narrow. Okay, so. For you, the fact that the woman is black, but you did it cross your mind at all that she might be anything other than white when I told you the story?
Originally, my first thought was white, but obviously I wasn't counting out that she could be any other race, honestly.
Yeah, I think that would be true for most people, right? And it's complex, right? So I want you to go back to what do you think her intentions were? 71-year-old black woman. What do you think her intentions were?
Honestly, maybe she's racist. I don't know. Honestly, maybe she was trying to. No clue. Honestly, maybe trying to do her job. She didn't understand.
Yeah.
Culture.
Yeah, maybe, right? But if you're not engaging, I mean, black people aren't. There's a lot of prejudice in the black community toward Muslims, that's for sure, man. And as there's a lot of prejudice in the black community toward Asians and toward lots of groups. I mean, this is not just toward white people, my God. And so the idea, black Christians and white Christians aren't any more likely to be open-minded toward Muslims than white Christians are. Well, they are probably a little bit, but not much. And so, this is a thing that we have to look at things in really complex ways and see it. There's a lot of ways in which the assumptions about white people is that white people are, can be the assumption. It's a stereotype, right? We're narrow-minded. We have a lot of racism, a lot of bigotry, white supremacy, all of this stuff, right? But we don't turn that in different directions. So how about you as a white guy? What did you learn about, what have you learned about Muslims?
I'd say from our one class, I don't know if that was two classes or one. I learned a lot about that when we spoke. I forget what her name was again, but the girl from Iran, I believe, or Iraq actually.
She was from Iraq too, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking to her. That was good. I learned a lot of like jobs are for modesty and just to keep like beauty just for their husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. I never really knew any of that before, honestly. They don't teach you that in school.
Okay, let me ask you a question now. As a white guy, how is it being a white guy?
I don't know. It's just like anything else. As people sometimes assume that I'm like, I don't know, white, as I would say. Very white, just like a stereotype, classic white guy,
So let me ask you, how white are you?
Let's say, I don't know. How are you using that word, white?
Just I'm going to use it in the way that black and brown people would use it.
So I have this guy that I work with, he's black, and he always tells me, whenever I go to his house, he's like, my parents aren't really they're going to be in shock. You're so white. He's like, makes fun of me like that.
Yeah. What do you think he means?
I don't know. I guess we're just, the way we do so, I honestly don't know. I guess he just calls me white. Maybe just like the white, everyone calls, the white dad, the white
Dude, white clothes, white,
Nah.
it used to be white fanny packs, but now they're
Yeah.
cool. Like whatever black people do, they just make shit cool. And so like back when I wore a fanny pack, it was like uncool. And then black people start wearing them and they're cool again. So like, whatever, right? Dude, ask your friend what he means when he says you're so white. Ask him what he means. Hey, Khadijah, can you just turn your camera on really fast? Wait, hang on. Yeah, go ahead. When someone says, if you look at Chad or if you look at Mark, dude.
That's a low blow.
But if his friend said you're so white, what might his friends be thinking about?
Probably around the things that maybe he said or he wore, or most likely something that he said.
Or like what might that be? Give me can you give us an example?
An example, like, okay, like just like some things that are known to be white, like some, like I guess you could say like some risky stuff. Like, I don't know, like someone said that, oh, they went to go like take a dip inside the water in Antarctica. You'd be like, oh, well, that's some white people stuff.
Wait, say that again. I didn't catch that.
Oh, I said that if, like, say, for example, like Mark over here said that he went to go take like a dip inside the water in Antarctica, we'd say like, oh, well, that's some white people stuff.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. That is a white thing, by the way. I was in Russia one time and people were swimming and it was 20 degrees below zero and people were swimming. The water was 31.9, was 32.1 degrees, actually. Yeah, it was crazy. The ice was 1.5 meters thick and people were crazy.
Couldn't be me.
So, all right, what about clothes? Dude, bro, what are you wearing, by the way? You're wearing a hoodie. That's not really, like, hey, so that's cool, right?
Yeah, just a hoodie. Rocking a graphic right now.
Yeah. Dude, yeah. Khadijah is like wearing headphones. Is that a white thing?
No, not necessarily a white thing. More white thing would probably be like the plaid shirt with like like over top of your hoodie, okay? Like I don't know.
Tim's on too.
Tims are now becoming popular, so not necessarily.
Yeah, Tims would be, because white people are not just picking up on Tims. So after they're uncool in the black and brown community. How about me? Am I white wearing my shirt like this? Am I like?
No, it's professional.
Oh, yeah, I gotta be professional, dude. See that? Professional. When you want to be professional, wear a button down. All right, man. All right, listen, y'all. Thanks. Crazy story, right? Khadijah, that's another crazy story, right? The woman's black. Did you know? Khadijah, were you thinking, oh, it's gonna be a black woman? I got this.
No, I did not actually.
See that? God.
Yeah.
I know, it's crazy. So, this is all this shit happens, right? Everything spins around, and like this is cancel culture stuff. Like we have to be looking at it from so many different angles. It's so important. And it's problematic. When you look behind the headlines, you see that a lot of stuff. Hey, by the way, this isn't to say that there isn't a lot of racism in the white community, in this whole world of white supremacy or white whatever. It's not to say that none of that is in play. It's just that in order to start talking about that stuff, we have to also see the complexities of things. So, all right, man. Listen, thank you. Mark, thanks. Khadijah, thanks for popping your camera back on. Mark, any final things to say that you want to like kick out there?
No, thank you.
Dude, ask your friend what he means when he says you're so white, and then let us know. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'll ask him. Thank you.
All right. Text him right now and ask him and put it in the chat and text him right now, dude, and then come back on at the very end of class and tell us.
Oh, he might be working. I'll text him.
All right, man. All right. Listen. All right. Can we go to let's go to, Jeff, we're not going to put that other slide up. So, hey, by the way, in that story, the other thing that the woman said, who wasn't allowed, who was wearing the hijab, was like they were letting all manner. Hey, by the way, you can bring in Anjali in, please. Anjali, you can turn your camera on and your microphone on. The other thing is that she was saying they were letting all sorts of men in with their baseball caps on. You know what I mean? So like, wait, I'm wearing hijab. My head's covered. They're wearing baseball caps. It's like, what are they hiding under their baseball caps? Anything that I would be hiding under my hijab. You just really see this, the kind of narrow thinking and the Islamophobic thinking. All right, Anjali, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome, man. I am awesome. Where are you in State College?
No, I'm home in Long Island, New York.
Long Island. Wait, I think I asked you this yesterday. Where in Nassau?
Yeah, Nassau.
Yeah. How is Nassau? How's Long Island?
Same old. Same.
Yeah. Were you born in the U.S.?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. Are both your parents?
No, my parents were born in Guyana.
In Guyana, but
Yeah.
you're of Indian ancestry?
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, man. So Guyana, awesome. Have you been to Guyana?
I have once.
Yeah. You ever been to India?
No, I haven't, but I really want to go.
Come on, man. You just go. You just get, when COVID's over, you just get a plane ticket and go. You know what I mean?
know.
It's God. Dude, you're studying from out of state. I mean, you're spending all this money at Penn State and you can't drop a cool $1,500 for a week-long trip to India. Like, what's up with that? All right, man. Hey, what do you know about the conflicts between Hindus and Muslims?
I know that they're always at war, like in India. They're always like seeing like opposite ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what they're at war about? What they're fighting about?
I don't really. I feel like they're fighting about who could be in power, but I'm not sure.
So have you ever heard of, do you follow news in India?
No, I don't really.
Dude. All right. So we're going to learn something today. You ever heard of love jihad?
No.
Seriously?
Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah. All right. Let me ask you this. If you were to fall in love with a man, or wait, are you straight? I got to ask you that first. Okay. So fall in love with a man who's Muslim. What would your parents say?
I think they would be very judgmental. Like they tell me like, oh, it's fine, whoever you love. But I know like if I brought home someone who's like Muslim or white or something, they would like have something to say.
Dude, white?
Yeah.
I thought everybody loved white people. Come on, man.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I know, man. Okay, so they would feel some kind of way about it. Why would they feel some kind of way? Like, what do you think? Like, what would be behind that?
I don't know really. Like just like what I've heard them say growing up, and like I have had to have like conversations with them on things like not to say because they're like stuck in their like old ways too sometimes. So
What are their old ways? What do you mean when you say that?
I feel like they're not like up with like the times, like some things that are more sensitive now than weren't like back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like some phrases and like stuff like that.
So one way to think about this is that intermarriage is an issue all over the world, right? And one of the reasons it's an issue all over the world is because people kind of like to hang on to we grow up with a certain culture and we want to give that culture. Our parents wanted to give it down to us, and then we want to give it down to our parents. It's part of who we are. It's how we dress, it's how we speak, it's our customs, it's our belief systems. It's so many different things that are really valuable, right? Like what are the holiday? What's your favorite holiday? Are you Hindu, by the way? Can I assume you're Hindu?
I'm Hindu, yeah.
So Diwali, what's your favorite holiday?
Yeah, I love Diwali.
Yeah, you have to love Diwali, right? Okay, so you're gonna want to let's say you get married, let's say you have a kid, right? Maybe you don't get married, you just have a kid. You're gonna want to you're gonna have a Diwali ceremony with your kids, right? Like you're gonna want to do that because you love it.
Yeah.
And if your kid says, oh, I hate that and I don't want to do it, you're going to be disappointed, right? If you're like a lot of parents, you're going to demand that they participate in that, right?
Yeah.
And then they're going to hate you for it. So what we see with people who are more recent immigrants is they, across the world are more likely to hang on to their own language hang on to cultural customs, hang on to certain things, and then they want their kids to follow in that same world because you surround yourself with the community. Very few people move somewhere else and completely absorb themselves in some other community.
Yeah.
And so, right, your parents, like, they're old school, but and what does that mean?
They're stuck in their ways, I guess.
No, dude. They like the custom. They like their custom.
They like the custom.
Yeah, because stuck in their ways sounds negative, but liking their customs is awesome. Like, I remember one time I was living in Spain, and I went to a restaurant with a group of Americans and had a Thanksgiving meal on Thanksgiving Day. And it was just awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I had been living in Spain, and I'm just like, God, this is a Thanksgiving meal. We had turkey, we had, the whole Thanksgiving thing, even pumpkin pie. I was like, fuck yeah. And I don't even like Thanksgiving meal here in the US, but it felt really good to be part of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, okay. So anyway, love jihad. Jeff, do you follow politics in India at all?
Not really. Like, I know Modi is the president, like, basic things, but I don't really follow it like that.
Do you watch Bollywood movies?
Yeah, I do.
Have you heard of this series, A Suitable Boy?
I think I've heard of it, yeah.
So it caused a big controversy in India, right? And people in the BJP. Can you say what the BJP is to people do you know? Like what's it called? What's the actual name of the BJP? Do you know?
No.
The political party? Okay, listen, man, you got to know that. Well, you don't really need to know it because you're not a member of it and your parents aren't a member of it. So whatever. But it's the most conservative party. It's the party in power. The prime minister, right? Modi is from the BJP, and they're really conservative and they're ultra conservative, and they're trying to impose this fundamentalist Hindu way of thinking and living and being on all of India. Yeah. So, again, just really impose it, right? And that means, like, you got over 200 million Muslims. It's like trying to push them out and really enforce things, right? So this film, Jeff, if you can put it back up, this film or this series featured this Hindu woman and a Muslim man falling in love. And they're at this Hindu temple and they engage in this really passionate kiss because they're in love, right? They fell in love. And this is a big issue in India, right? As you can imagine.
Yeah.
Because
they're different religions.
Yeah, people just are not into it. And so love jihad. So here I'm going to teach you this idea, right? Love jihad is this extremist Hindu idea that Muslims are conspiring to marry Muslim men, to marry Hindu women, to turn those Hindu women into Muslims. So they'll convert to be Islamic, right? Yeah. Convert to Islam. And then there'll be just more Muslims in India, like, to take over. Like, I mean, it would maybe in about 2,000 years that would happen, but whatever. This is this, like, really radical idea among these extremist Hindus. And so the way cancel culture plays into this is, like, people are picketing this film. They arrested 2 high-ranking people from Netflix India, who are the ones that put out this series. I mean, they put them in jail because they said this series has scenes in it that has crossed the line. Hang on, I gotta see. I think they just called them objectionable. So they charged them with these morality crimes, right? And this idea of this love jihad, like Muslims are trying to secretly take over. And do you have any thoughts on that? Wait, first off, by the way, class, we're gonna put up here goes the next top hat's gonna go up in about 30 seconds, okay? So just kind of keep an eye out, and we'll leave them up a little longer than normal right now, but So what do you think about this?
That's like, I feel like that's kind of crazy that they would think that. Like, I actually have heard about that they think like Muslims want to convert everyone to Islam, but I didn't know they made like a whole show kind of surrounding that. And to put like the producers in jail, I feel like that wasn't their intention. So that was like
No.
kind of overstepping.
Yeah, well, the show wasn't about that, right? So the show raised the issue of love jihad by the Hindu extremists, right? Religious extremists were saying, oh, this is an example. This is what Hindus are doing. Like BBC and Netflix, they're supporting Hindus who are trying to take over the rest of India by having lots and lots of children. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you think that's a little crazy?
Yeah.
Do you ever talk about like extremism in India? The reason that I want to talk about this is because people in the United States, lots of people here think the United States is the most racist country in the world and so on. And they've never been outside the United States, so they would have no idea, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But do you have anything to add to that? Like,
I think there's a lot of racism in India, just like for religions like Hindu and Muslim, like obviously that's like a major separation, but also like North and South Indians are fighting all the time because like, oh, everyone wants to be like light like the North Indians, and then they put down the South Indians for being dark skinned, even though they're all Indian, but they always find things to like discriminate about.
yeah. Have you ever used skin whitener, by the way?
No, I haven't.
Dude, I have some right here, by the way. If you roll by, it's I bought this in, I think I bought it in Delhi, actually. I've been to India 3 times. You've never been there once. Come on. I bought it in Delhi. It's perfect. It's called White Perfect. Wait, hang on. Let me try to get this. Hold on. There, you can't really see it because it's hard, but White Perfect. Because when I think about white people, I think about perfection. You know what I mean? So you put this cream on, you become white, and then you're perfect. Like the whole world. Like, what do you know about skin whitener in India? Is it popular?
Yeah, I know that it's popular. I know like even my friends, like my Indian friends, their moms like use it sometimes.
Why do they use it? What's like behind that? What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like the mindset is just like the lighter you are, like the prettier you are.
Yeah. That's that like white. That's part of that white supremacy piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although it doesn't always come from that. I mean, it's not that people aren't looking to Europeans and saying we want to just be like Europeans. I mean, it's deeper than that, but that's a big part of it. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? By the way, what skin whitening cream is the #1 selling cosmetic product in the world.
Wow.
By far and away. So all these creams, and you know, when you go, like when I'm in Africa or in India, wherever, and you know, you just see these creams one after another after another. I bought this in a drugstore, and Darnisha tried it out when she was in class. It didn't work. Well, hang on, Darnisha, turn your camera on really fast. Just.
Hey, friends. I tried it like 3 years. Was it 3 years?
3 or 4.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 years. Like the fall of 2017, I tried it like on the inside of my arm, like right here, and it made my skin actually darker. So that was fun.
You used it for like the whole semester, right?
No, you had me try for like 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe you had to use it for 10 weeks. You know what I mean?
Who knows? I'm not doing it again.
All right. Well, it's all good. We love you just as you are. Yeah, thank you. All right. Anjali, anyway, I think any final thoughts that you want to put out there?
No, I think that's all.
What's your takeaway? Your takeaway is that your parents aren't old-fashioned. They
Yeah.
just enjoy their culture. Same
Mhm.
thing with you. If you ever have kids, it's just how we all are. That immigrants all over the world, including, and this is white people. This is my final statement for white people because it's 4:20. It's that special hour. And white people, all the Europeans who came to the United States, all hung on to their culture. So we have this idea that immigrants today, like, they all hang on to, they don't assimilate and they don't do this. Nobody does. Nobody did. It's like you go to another culture and you sort of hold on, you know what I mean? But somebody like you're this next generation. So you start to break it down and then you have the struggle with your parents.
Yeah.
But that happens for everybody. That's part of it,
Yeah, we all have the same struggles with my kids.
Yeah, it's all good, man. All right, listen. Did I ask you what you studied?
No, I'm studying political science.
Political science. What year are you?
Freshman.
Freshman? Dude, political science. Awesome. What do you want to do with that?
Maybe law.
All right. That's good because the world needs another lawyer. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming on. Jared, we'll get to you next class, I'm sure. But thank you. Thanks for everybody who's came on the stream today. Really awesome. Thanks for class. I hope you got something out of it. I mean, I'm just trying to just show that these things are complex and it's a bit, I don't know, it's disturbing when we try to like set these rules up and then we cancel people out on the basis of some little thing that we don't even know the whole story. Just like these Hinduist extremists that don't necessarily know the whole story. All right, y'all. So have a safe weekend. And this Sunday, for those of you who are in the 4-credit class, we don't do the pack this Sunday, but the following Sunday, the first one will be due. All right, so you need to be looking into that and make sure you know how to do it. Okay, y'all. Peace. See you later. Have a great weekend.
All on my own, you got time for me, cause I got time for you. I'll make you comfortable, yeah, I'll sing to you. I wanna make you my boo, I wanna cherish you and make love to you. Oh, baby girl, would you ride with me? Would you die for me? I don't like being alone, but would you cry for me? My baby, honestly, I've been down the road, I'm always all on my own. You got time for me, cause I got time for you. I'll make you comfortable, yeah, I'll sing to you. I wanna make you my boo, I wanna cherish you. I'll give you all that I got, ain't gotta play it cool. Oh, ain't gotta play it cool. I'll give you all that